Hey everyone, I'm Lily, and welcome to my, that's my opening for I'm doing a series, but this isn't a series, although it is a follow-up to another video, where a few weeks ago I did a video kind of brainstorming character ideas for a god, and I did that, and I've kind of settled on, I think, what I am going to actually end up building. And today, I kind of want to guide you through my, rough draft, at least, the early level build. I have the character built as they'll be at level 2, because that's when they'll be really need to, see the initial parts of the build and where I'm going with this character. So, yeah. So while the last one was talking about, designing this god and whatnot, it was very much story-based. This one is much more mechanical. And I'm not really thinking about the actual divine abilities at this point, just because it is super early and things like that. But I'm kind of building this with the intention of, knowing that, words, things. Not even thinking about the divine abilities, yes, I will admit I've been a little bit min-maxing in different aspects to make this character concept work. I've, taken decisions to specifically make this character that I have in mind work, and how she kind of fits in this story. So, if you don't know, this is talking about a new campaign that I'm going to be a player in for once, and not a DM. And essentially the premise is it's within the world of generic RPG, where in the current game that we're all playing, all the gods perish some way or another. But essentially, not all of them, but a lot of them do. But now there's all these openings for gods and stuff. So obviously there's a whole bunch of latent gods spread throughout the cosmos, and some of them get promoted or however to be the new gods to replace all these fallen gods' place. And it happens to that this next group of gods all happen to be all friends with each other and just graduated from adventuring college. So, together. So it's an established friend group, and we are all gonna find out, 3.5 has rules for playing gods, but they're mostly meant to be high-end, epic and other high-level characters. But we're gonna be level 1 and 2 chumps. Just, yeah, we're gods. That's cool. So, but yeah. So I am, so that's your thing. So all the other players have kind of figured out what they want to play, and at least the kind of characters. We haven't figured out everything specifically mechanically yet. We're gonna be doing that soonish. Yeah. But essentially there was a hole in the party in what they needed, and I was kind of holding off to wait to see what the rest of the party needed, because I'm flexible. I like doing whatever I want. And what the party really needed was a mage, and specifically a wizard. The general utility character who can learn all the out of combat spells that you really need to make a party function. And some in combat spells, but mostly it's kind of your general utility wizard, where you can get by without a cleric or a dedicated healer in 3.5. You can't get away without a mage once you get started going up there. So I built a mage, so I knew I had to be at least a wizard. And I kind of was thinking about I was going through different supplements, and one supplement, one specific rule in the Book of Exalted Deeds, which was all about playing good characters and special abilities for good characters. And one of those was the series of vows, which they had different vows and they're very powerful effects, but they come with very specific requirements you must meet to keep those vows. There are in many ways kind of more extreme versions of paladin oaths, where if you're a paladin and you do something not super paladin you lose your paladin abilities until you atone. These are feats that any good character can take, and they get very good abilities if they meet the right requirements. And this is the one I looked at, and it's all boop. You'll also notice that we're actually playing with the Pathfinder Sheet for Roll20 because it's the best one they have. And yeah, no, the 3.5 sheet is very much lacking. And the Pathfinder, with the exception of skills, which does everything does everything so much better than the 3.5 sheet. The 3.5 sheet on Roll20 is barely adequate. It doesn't handle multiclassing at all, which is really an important part of 3.5, especially like prestige classes and things like that. And so we're thinking about just going with the Pathfinder sheet instead and using the Pathfinder skill system, because that's like the main thing that changes between the two of them, where it's like, okay, it changes the skill system significantly, but that's just one thing. But besides that, this is the feat that inspired me. It is the Vow of Non-Violence, which it makes the saving throws of all of my spells that don't do damage, like normal damage or ability damage, the DC increased by 4, which is huge. That's massive. That makes all my non-combat abilities, or like much more powerful, all my non-damaging abilities. But it essentially means it comes with this stigma where it's like, I cannot deal normal damage to a creature, or I can't like kill a helpless creature unless I lose the ability of this feat permanently. I can't switch out. There's no atonement for it. Nothing. It's gone. But I simply just cannot hurt helpless people. I must offer people a way out. I must, if we capture someone and subdue them, I can offer them a vow. It's like, hey, don't mess with us. Don't try to hurt us. Don't try to interfere with what we're doing. But you can go free. If they break that vow, we can then murder him. I can then murder him. But otherwise, I can't hurt people. And that's kind of the whole thing, where it's like, it's this neat thing. There was an ability similar to this in 4th edition, where it was a feat that made all of your healing super powerful at the cost of you got stunned if you dealt damage to a bloodied enemy. And I had a character that was built around that, and I had a lot of fun with that. And I saw this Vow of Non-Violence, I'm like, this is really cool. There's actually one that goes a step further, that's the Vow of Peace, where it's like, I can't even let my allies hurt people, or like kill non-combatants and stuff. With this one, I essentially can just like, I just shame my allies if they like help a harmless person reduce their attack for like a number of hours. But this one isn't as extreme, and there's a more extreme version that gives you like really awesome abilities. Like you have a constant aura of calmness around you. You get a bunch of like armor benefits. If someone tries to attack you, like their weapons might shatter against you because of just your purity and your commitment to peace. And I was looking at this, okay, so I can't do anything, like how do you build a character around this? One option is that it does allow for non-lethal damage, so things like a monk could like focus on non-lethal damage and just beat people unconscious, because that's not violent, or like other non-lethal methods, like things like that. But there's a whole school of magic which I can still use to incapacitate my foes that doesn't deal damage, ability, or otherwise. And that's enchantments. And I was like, that fits my mage point of view. I'm gonna go use this feat. I'm going to be all about non-violence. But I'm gonna go heavy on mind control. I am all about mind control. I'm all about this thing. So I like peace, but I'm also willing to go to pretty extreme lengths to commit the peace. If you don't know, I really like the Celestia. But back in the original Ravnica days, like one of their biggest flaws was they were actually extremely aggressive with their recruiting, and they actually used a lot of mind control to like get people to like just come over to their sides, like join the Celestia. Also do it now because we're going to use like mind controlling plants to affect you and things like that, where their heart might be in the right place, where it's like they want like help promote like community and like all the normal Celestian stuff, but they go too far, their methods are suspect. And that's kind of the character I want to build. I am a neutral good character. I want to believe, I just want everyone to be friends. I want everyone to coexist peacefully, but I also understand that not everyone will be willing to listen to reason. But at the same time, so I'm willing to, in some ways, like, take away free will if I need to attain to those ends. And already the other players in my campaign are like, let's pick up Iron Will, all these abilities that let me like start resisting mind control. It's like, guys, no, stop metagaming. I won't mind control you guys. Just don't murder anyone, and I won't have to mind control you. But yeah, so I'm just like very devoted to like this piece, but like flawed in my implementation. Part of it is also kind of like this, I don't want to say like thesis against like the alignment chart, but I'm like kind of showing the limitations of the alignment chart, where I'm neutral good and like I'm working to good ends, but my methods are very suspect. My various methods are questionable. They're not strictly evil, but they are definitely in a gray area. I'm not lawful by any means. Like I'm not it's not my goal to like have everyone mind controlled and everyone be under my thumb and everything. So I'm not like not lawful, but my methods are the antithesis of everything a chaotic character cares about. And it's this whole idea where it's like, I am not on the dichotomy that you would expect to be opposed to these things, but I am still. And like from another system, let's say like a better system like the color pie, like I am definitely just like very much a mono-white character. Actually maybe white-blue. I think probably white-blue. But yeah. So let's just jump into what this character is. So this is a level 2 character because I am multi-classed. I am a cleric wizard. I wanted the cleric just because there's a lot of cool like domination effects and things like that when the cleric point of view. Also, a thing about both clerics and wizards in 3rd edition is that when they like level up, the only thing they really get is their spells, and a lot of prestige classes still give you the spells and their levels. Like if they're like a spell casting prestige class, they still give you the levels in your spells. So if you're a cleric or a wizard, it's almost kind of dumb to not continue gaining levels in cleric or wizard, because it's like otherwise the only thing you're really getting is like, oh, your familiar's better or whatever, because you're still getting most of the benefits of your class along with whatever benefits of the prestige classes. And the prestige class I'm going with is, oh, I don't remember its name. I want to say it's like Mystic Theurge. It's just in the Dungeon Master's Guide. But it's all about being a combination divine and arcane spellcaster. I was considering before this, I was looking at a similar one that was a mix of arcane and psionics, but when I found the feat that was the Vow of Nonviolence, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna hone in on this like mind control stuff, and I was mostly choosing the psionics for like my offensive abilities, but I don't need those anymore. So let's just break down. I'm level 2, even though we're not starting at level 2, but I needed to show both classes to like kind of show you the build. So I'm a gray elf, which is kind of min-maxy. They're like normal elves, but they also get +2 intelligence for -2 strength. Yeah, it's kind of min-maxy, but I wanted all my mental stats to be very good. You know, elf, neutral good, like I said. I really am, like, I want to promote, like, life. I don't want people to get hurt. I do genuinely care about other people. All these other stuff is subject to change. The languages I've chosen are just kind of generic, like, knowledge-based ones. Another part of it is, like, I care about the mind, I care about learning, I care about all these other things. It's kind of like a sub-point of view. That said, you really can't be a wizard without being into those things. But yeah. But at level 2 I'll be a cleric one. I'm using a variant called the Cloistered Cleric, which is a bit less combative cleric, and it's a bit more like scholarly focused. it gives me an extra domain and some skills at the cost of a lower base attack bonus and less HP. Honestly, it would probably be just better to be a normal cleric and just get the extra HP, but it fit flavor-wise. And I'm an enchanter because I'm going to focus on the sweet enchantment effects and get all that mind control. And, you know, just hop over to spells and talk about my domains. In terms of spells, I actually haven't chosen spells yet because that takes a long time and I still need to look through everything. So my domains, being a cloistered cleric gives me the knowledge domain, which kind of fits. Like, I am a wizard still and I'm all about like that. Then I also chose community and mind. Community definitely just because I want people to collaborate together. I just want people to be friends and things like that. And mind is definitely because I'm all about mind control and looking into peeking into people's thoughts and things like that. That said, I was considering the domination domain as well, because kind of being this edgy thing is domination is definitely something you don't think of when you think of good characters or even good gods, but it really fit the character. But the abilities did not synergize very well, so I decided, I'll just go mind instead. And then for my wizard, I'm specializing in enchantment, because obviously I would if I'm doing that. And I realized I spelled evocation wrong. Evocation and necromancy. Evocation just because it's useless to me. Most of those are fireball and things like that, and I can't do damage anyway, so okay. And necromancy is just because it doesn't fit flavor-wise. I believe I'm a good person, and necromancy isn't that great. There's some necromancy effects I can use that don't do damage and are more status ailments, but meh. But yeah, so that's kind of generally the thing. Is one thing I also notice that I'm gonna be insane about my mind control powers, but it is all tempered by the fact that I do no damage. The way to kill this character is just throw something that doesn't have a brain at her. If there's some undead or a skeleton, okay, that's probably a bad idea because I still have turn undead because I'm a cleric. But if you throw, I don't know, a golem at me, I'm dead. I can't affect that at all. I need to have a brain. Otherwise I'm just useless. Defenses, attacks, okay, I haven't really gone into those because I'm not really using them that much beyond normal stuff. Let's just go quickly through my traits. Elven immunities. I'm an elf, which elf immunities actually is kind of nice because it increases my resistance to enchantments, so it's fitting. That's I can guard my own mind a little bit better. Weapon proficiency doesn't matter because I can't really use weapons that much. Elven senses. This is one that normally gives you bonuses to spot, search, and perception. However, since we're using the Pathfinder rules for skills for this campaign, which is actually pretty easy. You essentially just group some skills together and bring some else apart and stuff like that. And some you just have to add concentration. We're still counting as a skill in this, but those three were just grumping into perception, just for simplicity's sake for using this skill sheet. We figured the confusion from that would be less than the confusion of using the other skill sheet. And I chose one trait from Unearthed Arcana, which it's a drawback, which drawbacks are actually pretty major. They did a good job of kind of balancing these drawbacks. That said, this one is kind of cheesy, where I get -2 in all melee attack rolls, and you can take up to 2 drawbacks to get an extra feat at first level. This is kind of cheesy, but I really wanted to get the Vow of Peace, which has one other feat. I mean, the Vow of Nonviolence, which does require one other feat before it, and I wanted to start the game with Vow of Peace, just for flavor reasons. So I took that one. There's some other drawbacks I was looking at that are a bit less cheesy, but I might choose the one that's less initiative, where it's I'm just kind of slow to act in combat, maybe. Because it's like, I don't know, I'm all up in my head. I'm like slow to act. I don't want to like jump. Like I don't want to just go like, oh no, they're attacking. I don't want to just be like, okay, first up, mind control. Like at first, at least, I might even like just roleplay as like actually being kind of hesitant about mind control. I normally want to talk my way out of situations before resorting to mind control, but I don't know, as time goes on, I might get more and more ruthless and just being like not caring and not even stopping to talk. And it's just like, yeah, no, your brain is mine now. But talking about feats, I get Scribe Scroll because you get that as a wizard because wizards know how to make scrolls, fun fact. And Sacred Vow, which is the requirement for Vow of Nonviolence. There's a whole bunch of vows in Book of Exalted Deeds. Book of Exalted Deeds is actually really cool. But it just gives me +2 to diplomacy checks, which then stacks a Vow of Nonviolence, which is cool. And let's just jump into class features. Part of the Cloistered Cleric is that they don't get access to medium armor, but that doesn't matter anyway, because I'm not wearing armor, because I'm a wizard. Lore. This is one of the Cloistered Cleric abilities, where essentially it is kind of like, it functions exactly like Bardic Knowledge, which it just lets me kind of like make improved knowledge checks for like obscure information and things like that, because I'm a nerd and know a bunch of things. Aura. I made a good aura because I'm a cleric. I guess I'd do that anyway because I'm going to become a god. Oh well. Spontaneous casting is just a normal cleric ability. Any prepared spells I get, I can drop to have heal spells, which will be useful. Like, clerics are healers, fun fact. That said, my party is actually very divine heavy. We're actually going to have 2 clerics. One is going to be actually a cleric monk, and they're going for the Divine Fist prestige class. And the other one's a druid who isn't going super neatly, but none of us really need to be dedicated healers. Evil spells, I can't cast evil spells. Turn undead, because I'm a cleric. That said, because I'm only going to be taking 3 levels in cleric and 3 levels in wizard, turn undead won't actually be super useful to me. Because it'll just quickly get outpaced by, my cleric level will be so low that it just doesn't matter. Then we're getting to our wizard abilities. Weapon armor proficiency doesn't matter again. I chose to forego my familiar for this variant ability, which is Instant Daze, which is whenever an enemy with usually like my level or less makes a melee attack against me. Oh, it does say wizard level though, doesn't it? Okay, that's going to get outpaced very quickly. There was another variant ability that essentially gives me like a cohort at 6th level. I might go with that instead. But essentially I can daze them. That said, this will DC is modified by Vow of Nonviolence, because it gives you +4 DC to any spells or like other effects, like class effects that just don't do damage. But essentially lets me be like, oh, you're attacking me? Oh no, you're dazed, and now you suffer a huge penalty at your attack roll. Oh no, how sad for you. But yeah, no, it's a defense ability early on, although I might switch it out for the cohort one from Unearthed Arcana. Social proficiency. This is my Unearthed Arcana. Essentially, this one's a little cheesy since I'm never going to actually get the higher level, feats, because normally wizards at like 5th, 10th, 15th, and 20th get a bonus feat, and this ability replaces those, but I'm only going to get 3 levels in wizard, so this is a little bit cheesy, but essentially just adds a bunch of like social skills to my skill list, which actually is kind of useful just because I like having those social abilities, just like for the character I'm doing, because like I actually never went over my ability scores, but essentially my physical scores are terrible, and I have very good intelligence, wisdom, and decent enough charisma. Like, the exact scores don't actually matter at this point, just because those aren't my official roles, but it's definitely just neglecting the physical side altogether and just focusing on the mental side of things. But because I don't want to have to use mind control for everything, just having these extra skills is useful. And then my domain abilities. The knowledge domain just makes my divination spells cast at a higher level, which is cool, I guess. I'm not specialized in divination, but good for me in my divination spells, I guess. Okay, the community. Obviously, for once per day, I can cast Calm Emotions. And I get +2 to all my diplomacy checks. So, Calm Emotions essentially is nice for, like, calming down, like, oh, that's exactly what it says. It's actually something nice that can be used to, like, diffuse potentially violent situations and things like that, which is definitely just on theme for what my character is trying to do. And finally, on the mind domain, I get +2 to bluff, diplomacy, and sense motive checks. Now, you might have noticed that, Lily, you have a lot of incidental modifiers to diplomacy. And I do. Let's look at my skills. I wasn't even trying to, like, min-max this, but I only have 14 charisma on this character, and yet I have +13 diplomacy. Which is just like, oh, I did not mean to that. Also, note, I am level 2. I could, like, notably, since I'm going to be starting as a cleric, I will have +13 diplomacy, or I'll probably have a +12 diplomacy at level 1, which is just dumb. I wasn't even trying to do this. But as for what I put my skills in, I mostly just put my ranks in. I put at least one rank for, like, all the skills that are class skills, so I can get, like, the +3 bonus, because the Pathfinder system is a lot less complicated than the 3.5 cross-class skill system. And the whole weird, like, you get 4 times the number of points at first level. But essentially just maximizing that bonus, and then just putting in a little extra points into diplomacy, because I like diffusing situations before they become a problem. Knowledge Arcana and Knowledge Religion, because those are requirements for the prestige class I'm going into, and yep, that's it. So pretty standard array for, like, a wizard like things, but very much a people person, and my people stats are actually very good. Or it's +13 diplomacy. I decided to actually not take any ranks in bluff, because it would make sense, but I don't know, my character doesn't need to lie. Like, she generally doesn't want to be deceptive of people. If she needs to be deceptive, she'll just take over their mind. Why need to bluff mundanely? Like, if I'm gonna be doing something non-magically, I want to do it in good faith. But then it's like sense motive +9, because that's important. Also spellcraft, because I'm a wizard and things like that. And decent enough gather information. Just because that's not a terrible skill to have, just like for the early game at least. And yeah. Well, that is I think everything. Like I said, I haven't chosen the spells yet, but you can kind of guess what kind of spells we're going for. Things like Charm Person and other things that, like, just do, like, debuffs and for my combat abilities and things like that, but very much focusing on, like, just the non-damaging abilities and just focusing on that and just being this, like, debuff machine in a lot of ways. And generally just working on just trying to incapacitate my opponents without actually just, like, hurting them, because I don't want to hurt people. Why can't everyone just be friends? So, yeah. And equipment, I haven't done anything with equipment because, honestly, I don't have that many equipment. I'll have, like, robes, maybe a staff for aesthetic purposes, but otherwise I don't need that much until I get into magic stuff, which I can't afford at this point. But yeah. That's my character so far. Like, this was definitely very mechanical heavy. I'll probably do another video if people are interested, talking more about, like, when I start thinking more about, like, this character's backstory and things like that. But I'm really excited, like, mechanically about this character, just going full in on the kind of, like, mental manipulation, mind control, and has a lot of really neat, like, story places to go through, and yeah. But yeah, no. So what do you think of this character? Like, oh, I hope you enjoyed this video. Would people be interested in more videos like this? Me, like, just, like, kind of, like, designing character builds? Mostly for 3.5, because 3.5 is the edition I know the best. But, like, just designing character builds and, like, going through them and, like, kind of, like, talking about character concepts and stuff. Would that be things people would be interested in? And also, once this campaign gets underway, I'll probably do, like, a check-in every so often, like, talking about, like, hey, where's this character gone? Like, what choices have I made as I'm leveling up? Like, where am I going? And I think I'm definitely going to be doing, like, videos talking about, like, the character itself. Like, well, not, I mean, the campaign itself. I might do, like, weekly, like, vlogs, as the character, like, kind of, like, from her point of view, like, talking about the events of each session to keep everyone updated and stuff. Well, that has been my, this is about it, all I have to say about the mechanics of this character so far. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful night. I hope you have wonderful dreams. And I definitely will mind control you. No promises once I figure out how to do that. May your stories smile upon you.